So I think, Badri, we can start?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So
fine.
hello, it's 5, yeah, it's already 5 o'clock, Rome time. I'm here from Dublin, 4 p.m. Welcome everybody for our second webinar this year of ICOMOS Studio Lecture Series. With you, Insaf bin Othman, I'm a co-founder of ICOMOS Studio. Before starting the lecture, I would like to talk briefly about ICOMOS Studio. So our first webinar this year was about urban resilience. So it was, about the city as system of systems, and it will be broadcasted, mainly downloaded and published soon on our YouTube channel. The next webinar will be about dwelling and homing in refugeehood. It will be in July the 7th. So ICOMOS Studio, we are an open social cooperative and research lab. We work in the fields of integrated urban development and architecture and green construction. You can see here a variety of projects that we work on, mainly community-based projects. So you can check on Facebook and also on our website, our projects. We will be happy, everyone is, welcome to join us for our project and also for new projects around the world. Mainly our projects are, project-based through our associates who are, reside everywhere in the world, mainly in Ireland, Belgium, Egypt, Uganda, and Switzerland. So concerning heritage, we have our project that we work with Heritage for All in Egypt, which is Siwa Architecture Community Center. It's among, our initiative, Siwi initiative in Siwa Oasis. So you can have a look as well on this project on our page, Facebook page. You can contact us about it, and also you can, of course, be part of it in the future. So today we are tackling the topic of heritage branding, protective shield to sustain the cultural sites, presented by our VP Heritage Unit, Mohammed Badri. He's also the founder of Heritage for All initiative and a PhD candidate in architecture department, architecture, innovation, and heritage in Tree University in Rome, Italy. Before we start, I would like to tell you that this lecture is broadcasted live on Facebook, on our both pages, ICOMOS Studio and Heritage for All. Welcome everybody for this lecture. For any question, you can post them on our chat you see here, and I will collect them for all of you. Over to you, Mohammed.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Insaf, for this presentation, and hello everybody, and thanks for attending this webinar. We will speak today about heritage branding and how it will contribute in formal way to sustain the heritage sites and the culture sites overall. First of all, I would like to introduce Heritage for All for you. And that I'm, as Ms. Insaf already mentioned, I am the founder of Heritage for All initiative. I am from Cairo, Egypt. In 2015, I get the joint master degree in Heritage Conservation and Site Management between withÄcumene and Helwan University. I'm Heritage Management professional 5 years ago. Now I am PhD candidate in Rome. My research is already in this topic under title Culture, Identity and Branding, an Integrated Approach to Enhance the Heritage value. Through this project, I am looking forward to create a people-based heritage branding model. Heritage for All initiative was founded in April 2017. It mainly focuses on the heritage and all museum management and conservation. It shares up-to-date aspects in relation to heritage conservation, site management, and museology with the young professionals within its virtual platform, as well as group of capacity building activities. Interpreting our logo and slogan, these activities are often opened to all interested people from all educational backgrounds and from various age groups as well. You can communicate with our initiative via these links and channels. Now, I would like to attract your attention following of the outcomes of the former internship program in 2019, following ICOMOS and UNESCO World Health Center theme, Rural Landscapes, an initiative launched the international online internship program, Rural Heritage and Traditional Food. Through our page, you can review the great achievements and those international interns who were from India, USA, Italy, China, Turkey, and Bangladesh. Along with 6 months from July to December 2019, they covered these topics from various perspectives and already share with us great primary data about the projects and the successful experiments there. Also, we would like to acknowledge the professionals and organizations that have supported our interns with these effective primary informative data and knowledge. Recognizing the UNESCO and ICOMOS annual theme 2020, Shared Cultures, Shared Heritage, Shared Responsibility, Heritage for All initiative will mainly highlight in 2021, covering the international issues and good experiments of the theme musealization of culture identity. Unfortunately for coronavirus quarantine, the call was postponed from 2022 to 2021. That although each intern works from his or her home country, she or he will go to museums and heritage sites collecting data and observing the situation of the heritage sites. Now we will start with our lecture that, considering the certain issues of the heritage tourism market, we present our lecture or webinar under the title Heritage Branding, Protective Shield to Sustain the Cultural Sites. These subtitles, the lecture subtitle is going to, in parallel, to interpret the main theme of ICOMOS and UNESCO World Health Center 2020, that cultural heritage, including places or practices, are frequently connected with and valued by multiple and diverse groups and communities. So now we try as much as we can to control the modification speed, covering the lecture topic from these perspectives, that what is culture and its relation to heritage and supported heritage sites, and the sense of the place, cultural identity and the heritage industry, how to curate the heritage sites over tourism and coronavirus, urban spaces and creative tourism, branding concepts and its relation to create the main process of city branding and creative tourism and creative environment. What's the difference between branding heritage and to heritage brand? It's create heritage brand for the heritage sites. And what's the relation between heritage branding and conservation? That might heritage branding conserve the heritage site or not? Is UNESCO World Health Center emblem branding is a branding icon, and how to deal with the visitors in this process, not a customer. And finally, we will clarify the interactive relationship between cultural identity and heritage branding. First of all, we will speak about culture and heritage. In general, if we critically observe our life, we will find that find out how far the heritage city contributes to reforming our national culture identity, thus responding carefully to the altered sociocultural needs of the local communities and recognizing the Baram theory, culture and heritage, not only culture, not only heritage, but culture and heritage are great terms which use the past through group of inherited customs, traditions, history, and actions, as well as the urban heritage in the present time in order to develop the future vision. Agreeing with Dr. Rehanan Masson at the International Center for Cultural and Heritage Studies, Newcastle University, the good connection between the cultural heritage and cultural identity. So create a real emotional rapport between the urban heritage or the heritage city and the local community. So please, let's read carefully his concepts about sense of identity, sense of a place. A sense of a place, please, 1 minute. Yes. A sense of a place is like the idea of a place attachment. Is an important aspect of people's identity. People often feel strongly attached to places which have been formative in their lives, where they grew up or where they experienced major life events which feature strongly in their sense of identity. This positive attachment to a place is often described as a sense of belonging or feeling at home. So, according to this statement, heritage has the main role in reviving the cultural identity of the local communities, respectively acting the factor of authenticity and integrity as well as continuity. Thus, Carolina Sanders observed the threat of modernization and its reflection on the city image, as well as its negative impact on the cultural identity of the local community, stating that a crude mechanism of intercity competition reduces the historic urban landscape to the status of merely symbolic capital intended to create a spectacle resulting in the Disneyfication that's related to Disney, that is kind of entertainment, not have cultural pillar of urban spaces and urban heritage along with it and the corresponding clues of the local identity. Releasing a group of interactive factors with the heritage site as well as the coronavirus economic consequences, especially the financial resources constraints, the visitors, the global community, ICOMOS in 2020 launched this theme that shared culture, shared heritage, and shared responsibility, valorizing the global context of heritage as a part of cultural identity and its role to revive our environment, real environment, through to refer the join us between the place and practice. So there is no difference between tangible and intangible, but on the other hand, tangible heritage feeds intangible and opposite way is right. Now, we focus on how to curate the heritage site. In 2017, Shane O'Toole described aspects of curating the heritage city. He mentioned that sites have to be theaters for public life. The site should be curated as a work of art, or if you like, manage it as a great theater. So, from this perspective of curating the heritage city, and managing a sustainable heritage tourism, the heritage specialists could easily create a mental map delivering the memorable spaces and its experience and strengthening the traditional socio-cultural actions and activities. Therefore, responding to the emancipation of the local community engagement as heritage majority strategy in Curating Charter, majority of the global heritage cities, the majority of global heritage cities that the Global Heritage Cities book through integrated approach that acquired the cultural identity to create and curate its public image. So that is through to revive the people's living context, including their interactions, customs, traditions, and beliefs. But here we would like to refer the key word of interaction, that not interaction in the past way, past period, but I speak about the current, the contemporary and modern interaction, how they aware their surrounding cultural heritage, the surrounding cultural identity they found, and its modification, its speed, the speed of modification, it's high or not. So according to this keyword, we should analyze the heritage site in different way. Now we mention here that some quotations speak about how to invest the cultural identity, valorizing the heritage industry. We mention here the keyword of heritage industry. That's not meaning we already could transform the heritage fields or the heritage site to be a product. No, but how to valorize the cultural identity value to help the local community feeling that this heritage site have a priority to conserve it. So to invest the economic and functional dependence of the heritage space, and to make a connection through to recognizing the symbols of the heritage space, its memory, collective memory, for the community, for the visitors, and also for all of stakeholders who communicate with the heritage site. On the other hand, that as we mentioned here, the tangible cannot be only understood and interpreted without a tangible heritage. So according to Hangzhou Declaration, placing culture at the heart of sustainable development policies, and from the socio-economic perspective, the culture contributes informally applying the green economy perspective, which to provide integrating with the urban planning a group of effective factors: inclusion, cultural diversity, and sustainability. And then we should recognize that heritage places, according to this process, heritage places are nodes of economic activities for creative industries. For example, we can refer to the cultural heritage-based entrepreneurship, as well as to follow as a strategy, the public-private partnership. And then in April 2020, Mr. Doug Lansky, tourism advisor in Netherlands, shares his overview through YouTube, indicating that the principle of tourism market overall will be totally changed. He refers to that in the upcoming months, the tourism market will aim at developing few visitors, more revenues perspective or strategy. So therefore, it will provide the following characteristics for the proposed trips or visits. We can apply the same perspective for the heritage sites or tourism attractions overall. The visitor experience will collective percepting the authenticity factor in a high quality, applying the strategy of limiting the low spending tour pass visitors who stay in a few hours and increase the average amount each visitor spends as well, we can ensure a local life, quality environment, and with lower cultural impacts. On the other hand, those visitors will carefully protect the experiences they obtained. In sum, the future tourism market will provide the following points: better visitor experience, more demand, speeds out season, that we will not find a seasonality, we will find visitors along the year, better for nature, and local life quality. Now, we will focus on the relationship between the urban spaces and cultural creative tourism. People drive a significant part of their identity from the landscape in which they were raised and lived. Respectively, urban heritage spaces and cultural landscapes are the best context to guarantee the best socio-cultural interactive environment for the cultural manifestations of the local communities, investing the cultural diversity factor, controlling effectively the intercultural exchange, especially with a tourism perspective, and finally, mitigating the globalization effects and providing a real practical context of the sustainable development process. According to the International Congress on World Civilizations and Creative Tourism in Bulgaria 2016, I can recognize a cultural identity as a dynamic method, operationalizing and generating the authentic creativity factor, regarding that it is stated that the creative tourism plays a great role developing the competitiveness factor, especially in the urban spaces. Now, if we refer, according to these indicators, we can go through the branding. But before to refer to heritage branding and what the difference between branding heritage or heritage branding, we should to understand what means the branding itself. That here we can recognize the branding process, or the main concept of branding, that the branding process cannot start from scratch or punish a previously existing culture. The branding process must be based on the local identity because artificial narratives are not effective. That is, to be effective, branding narratives should be based on authentic values associated with the location and establish a connection with the genuine local identity. An authenticity that distinguishes the product helps the product compete with other products. In addition, authenticity can combine a constant reinterpretation to suit consumer taste with an idealized evocation of the past to strengthen a brand's popularity. But here I would like to refer a point that authenticity here is not like authenticity and authentic values like heritage. Here we speak about the market itself, that for products like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and other products like shoes, blouse, skirt, and so on, and all of these products, food and beverage, and so on. But in the heritage branding, we try to use all of these keywords in the perspective of heritage, that to use and invest the authenticity in the heritage, how to conserve this these expressions, but in the heritage field. That's the process in heritage branding. And also here that we already speak about the main concept of that. So according to that, we should refer to that the authenticity factor, the authenticity and heritage factor, but from the perspective of the branding for the market. Here, as I mentioned for you, that's if we take the consideration of branding, the process that I already mentioned, that visitors here can become attracted to get back into the nostalgic context, especially with a brand image, which to be included factors of authenticity and heritage. Therefore, we can find some scholars stated that symbolic and emotional attachment between a brand and consumer is more probable with brands that connect heritage and authenticity to their image. To consider heritage as a cultural resources, or in other way, cultural capital, and thus evaluate its benefits to come to a country or region, or to analyze it as a determinant of organizational behavior, that a brand representing stability, familiarity, and trust can speak to people in period of uncertainty, helping to create an image of authenticity and integrity that is likely to appeal to today's consumers. So according to this, until now, we take all of these expressions literally, not like its application in cultural heritage field. According to that, we here to understand the features of successful brand. The features of successful brand as an identifiable product, service person, or place, augmented in such a way that the buyer or user perceives relevant, unique, sustainable added values which matches their needs most closely. And then we will, so according to these features, we will refer to the point that branding is a slow and long-term process based on strategically defined goals and programs for regeneration, planning, and promotion. Branding entails an integrated aspect and economic, social, ecological, and cultural measures designed at local, regional, and state level. Due to a long-term process of branding, cooperation of all relevant actors is important, and what is extremely significant is city residents' support, determination, and their cooperation, since the changes are meant primarily for the well-being of the residents. Here, we will connect between the point of branding process, as we mentioned, the factor of authenticity, and see its application from the perspective of city branding. The city branding is not a new field, it's already done long years ago, that they defined this creative environment as a place. Here, if we speak about the creativity factor inside the city branding process, that they define the creative environment as a place. So here the creativity is not intangible value. No, it's a tangible value, that a place where provides the main requirements generating ideas and innovations. Additionally, they referred that this environment provides a suitable context for the entrepreneurs, social activists, artists, and so on, who operate in open-minded and a localized context, creating new artifacts, products, services, as well as other out-of-the-box economic contributions. Therefore, the city branding approach as a cultural mind shifting considers the cities as reappropriate industrial sites housing the creative societies. And these industrial sites, including also the heritage sites and also the museums, including this, because culture is industry, tourism is industry. So it's part of to create industrial sites. And then mitigating the current consequences of globalization and modernization, UNESCO created a declaration on cultural diversity in 2001 that was formed as a specific standard of the culture, launching UNESCO Creative Cities Network in 2004. And the aspect of creative cities was created as a new urban model, referring to mobilize the authenticated creativity in art and culture, generating new types of economy that to open new opportunities in the market of industry and employment. So this network puts the factor of creativity as a main economic driver, which is guaranteeing the sustainable development process in the 7 creative disciplines as the built forms, like crafts and folk arts, designs, film, gastronomy, literature, music, and media arts. Therefore, there are someone who called the creative cities by other brand themes, such as science cities, cultural cities, walled cities, compact cities, endless cities, redefining the urban spaces that a culture is a main strategic tool for operationalizing sustainable development goals. Now, I would like to refer differentiating between the concept to brand heritage and heritage branding. Here, we will start with the concept of heritage, the branding heritage, that usually we see the city branding process and some factories using their heritage or their history as a factor to reviving the market, to consider the meaning, resources of cultural heritage as a portable, so they can stop whenever and continue whenever, and to invest the heritage assets as a tool of generating the brand image of that. Like we can see multiple brands around. We wouldn't like to give examples, not to be as a marketing for these companies, but there are many brands in the market. You can review it as a brand using their heritage as a brand to revive their brand. So here we will start with the process of place and destination or city branding. That cultural heritage plays a vital role in the development of cities as experience destinations and promotes a sense of place identity. So a place branding is a communication methodology compiling a group of social, psychological, and physical components that to assist the destination competing others through linking its function with its uniqueness, symbolic values, therefore to control the people's perception, the brand image of a city and attraction and its quality are in some cases more significant than the symbolic, social, and emotional values. Now we speak about also the branding, but from other perspective, that the factors of place branding, that a place branding is not the same as goods or services branding. It is so complex that its process considers a group of factors such as geographical location, infrastructure, tourism attractions, environmental resources, local products, residents' attitude. There are some experts like Enwell, who clarified that the place branding as a concept is so related to corporate branding. Creating this process, or corporate branding, define a systematically planned and implemented process of creating and maintaining favorable images and consequently a favorable reputation of the attraction by sending signals to all stakeholders who join the process. On the other hand, we can see that heritage factor joining the process of the normal branding, or the branding for companies. That here we can see the 4 pillars of heritage-based branding. Is not branding for the heritage sites, but the companies using their heritage, their past, their history to revive their products, to upgrade the followers of their company. Just to stop 1 minute, so that there are some people would like to admit. Please, Ms. Insaf, may you accept them? And then we come back to the pillars of heritage-based branding, that it has been stated the 4 pillars of branding, including history, image, expectancy, equity, and equity, that history represents its rich eventful past, and the image as an after effect of the brand communication, and the positioning based on the benefits to be enjoyed by the consumers. So brand expectancy refers to the physical and emotional benefits that consumers received from the brand. Finally, equity comprises 2 subsets, a homogeneous and heterogeneous set of competencies, that's competing in the market, that respectively facilitate progression and give the edge over the competition. Yeah, here we would like to clarify other features or characteristics for heritage-based branding that we can use also in heritage sites, including a track records, longevity, core values, history, and the use of symbols, graphics, nostalgia, packaging, and advertising. So, clarifying the interaction between these components or characteristics. A track record means demonstrated proof that the company has lived up to its values and promises over time, whereas longevity reflects consistent performance among other heritage elements. Core values are an integral part of a brand's identity and over time may constitute its heritage. History is another significant element of identity, and for the heritage brands, and issue impresses 3 time frames: the past, the present, and the future. So brand heritage is seen here as a composite of the history as well as the consistency and continuity of a company's core values, product brands, and use of samples, and a potential measurement mechanism is proposed. So the element in turn produce an image of quality, enhanced trust, customer loyalty, and a strong reputation, eventually leading to a stronger brand equity, And then from this process, we can now understand the content of heritage branding process that we would like to achieve in the future. that here we can see what the meaning of heritage branding, that heritage branding seeks generally to valorize socio-economically the main heritage values of the heritage site itself, not the products. No, the heritage site itself, its authenticity, its integrity, which is through providing a cultural identity related long-term image as a strategy for a competitive identity in the memory of the stakeholders. But here, who is the stakeholders for the heritage branding? We here included indigenous, autochthonous, local community members, also local entrepreneurs, investors, and visitors. So we here understood that the main value of heritage branding, that it's a sole difference about heritage, about branding heritage. So here we can continue that these factors, these stakeholders, is considered a key factor in the success of or failure of the branding strategies, which lead to an increased sense of ownership and sustainability of a brand. By the way, recognizing the branding as an augmentation level of heritage of the marketing plan in general, and for the heritage marketing plan too, the heritage branding is considered a defense tool in the competitive marketplace, which creates duality, developing a direct emotional rapport, which is called the cultural meaning brand identification. With whom? With visitors, and charges also the suitable price. So this is the main focus of heritage branding process. So that this reasonable or suitable price or reasonable price that will be reasonable for many target groups. Depending on the unique story, the heritage site can create a great rapport between it and the history, the heritage site itself and its history, and also the visitors, evoking the visitors' memory, which is through to activate their nostalgic emotions. Here, we continue with the same perspective that heritage branding develops the visitor's self-realization sense within the interactive lifelong experiencing method, which seeks fundamentally to invest the main socio-cultural values of the heritage site, keeping a positive emotion in the visitor's perception. Moreover, it contributes informally attracting a creative economic investment. By the way, we can recognize the main function of heritage branding that to illustrate the main characteristics of the heritage site and to develop the site image over time in the minds of the visitors and other stakeholders. So here we can recognize, according to the last statement, that heritage branding is a messaging process. When communicating with the target visitors, the brand message must be simple, consistent, and most important, to be reinforced by experience, catching their eyes, their imagination to your heritage site. And this catching or their imagination will have a result. This result is to enhance the recognition of pleasurable memorial experience of the heritage attraction, and it will help in direct way to sell the site services and facilities. Sorry. Here we can see this diagram. This was already made its popular diagram that to clarify the tourism attraction levels or the tourism attraction life cycle. And here we would like to focus only on the two phases, the decline and rejuvenation. That heritage branding with heritage sites focus on this, that it plays a great role that to stop here in stagnation and make a rejuvenate to the heritage site. Because the heritage site, it's not like other tourism attractions. If the tourism, if the cultural heritage site already dropped down or declined, you can't to revive it. It's the part of cultural identity already dropped down of the people. So have to revive this cultural identity manifestations, the culture, to revive this process in another way. It's hard something because you don't have stories that you have facts, that heritage is a fact. You can't play with these facts many times. So the solution in this area, not use all of facts once time, not present all of your facts or heritage values once time, but try to present it step by step. So according to it, we here would like to present the phases of the heritage marketing in general to heritage branding and its relation to conservation perspective. That here we can start with heritage promotion. The heritage promotion is the first step that to deal with the heritage site from scratch. The site management opens the initial facilities and services of the heritage site to the local audience and raising awareness of the local community about the cultural significance of the heritage site. Also, in case the heritage site is archaeological ruins, so has a fragile material, so it doesn't have enough carrying capacity to attract a good number of visitors. It is better to pause with promotion phase at this stage. Thus, the site management might conserve the heritage attributes and preserving the heritage value for the upcoming generations throughout using the outreach strategies, for example, the digital and information technology devices. In the second phase is the marketing, heritage marketing. In this case, the heritage site has a convenient conservation statement recognizing the cultural diversity factor. The heritage site management team starts to analyze the site promotion situation, including the micro and macro environment that's to cover this pastel items, and the marketing mix items, that's especially 4 pieces of marketing mix, especially to identify the physical and the material characteristics of the heritage asset, distribution channels, which through the site values could be delivered, to categorize the pricing policy for our indirect ways admission fees, we can call it the pricing policy, and this is also the pricing policy for the services and facilities of the heritage site, and to define the tools of investing the heritage promotion phase outcomes. Regarding the formal analysis, the site begins recognizing the direct and indirect competitors, estimating the exact market segmentation for each visitation program and its requirement. With this phase, the heritage site commences launching itself in the heritage market in the heritage market, tourism market, among other public heritage attractions, and targeting both local and international visitors. And finally, it reached after a long time with the heritage branding, or in other way, we can call it heritage augmenting, as a site image. That the branding assists here to upgrade the quality of the heritage destination, to form socially a linkage between the destination stakeholders, and to create the additional distribution channels. Thus, a branding adds a new symbolic added value, associating the economic purpose with the real function of cultural heritage. Here, I would like to valorize the heritage branding without to create any new effects on or impacts on the core values of the heritage site. So I would like here to focus or considering the tourism negative impacts that is threatening the conservation statement of the authenticity and of the cultural significance of the heritage site as a result of the overuse and the high number of visitors and so on. So here I seek through the project overall to focus the main heritage branding process in the buffer zone and transition zones of the heritage site, which will open new public spaces and delivering the main heritage values, raising the local public awareness, and opening many economic opportunities to apply the cultural heritage-based entrepreneurship aspect with the local community. Moreover, the site management at the same time can effectively and efficiently control the visitor management process, mitigating the negative impacts, especially the human-induced impacts. Here, we can to answer a great question. Is UNESCO World Heritage Center emblem branding icon or not? Here you can find that many countries around the world invest the factor of having UNESCO World Heritage Sites to market themselves as an international touristic attraction. On other way, we can find through UNESCO publications, especially we can find like this great author, Mr. Pedersen, already mentioned in the publication of UNESCO Tourism Management, that the site's inscription on the World Heritage List often coincides with the post-visitation rates, and continuing the World Heritage Site is assumed to create a platform for offering the optimal level of conservation appropriate level of service standards for tourists, encouraging proper management of the site and thus fostering economic and tourism regeneration. If we make a comparison between two statements, there is a great confusion that here we can only understand that World Heritage icon or emblem is the marker of quality and authenticity. That, according to that, we already understand that a World Heritage emblem is not a brand value. That the inscription of World of Heritage in UNESCO World Heritage List is not considered brand value, according that there are some researches already appeared that the brand aspect is fundamentally associated with quality, which should grant a professional ability to guarantee a long-term competitive uniqueness factor. Respectively, from some overviews, also the list plays a great role of ensuring this long-term advantages. The main task of this list is to clarify or guarantee, definitely guarantee a group of conservation and preservation standards, enhancing the community identification and transforming this heritage value to the upcoming generation. Because that we already find, although there are some UNESCO World Heritage sites which were inscribed on the list many years ago, it doesn't well known for the international visitors who accordingly don't recognize this brand image. As a result of an empirical study of some scholars in 2014, it has been indicated that there is a great percentage of the heritage sites visitors, for example, in Germany, Portugal, and Israel, who are not aware and recognize recognizing very well of the representation of the World Heritage emblem or symbol. Consequently, from the aforementioned study asserted that in a case the visitors don't realize the brand mark, so its main function, communication, doesn't be effectively activated. In general, and so we tend to ensure that UNESCO World Heritage Center, maybe it's this emblem is so clear for us as a professional in the field, but for visitors, as we see, that's one of the studies, and we still clarify some studies in the future in 2020 and after Corona. We can see it, but from my point of view, I agree with them that UNESCO World Heritage, you can review some attractions through TripAdvisor, through the word of mouth between your friends and colleagues, but how many people around the world, they are select their heritage attractions to visit through World Heritage List. I think it's for us as a professional in the field, but maybe for visitors, they are not effectively deal with this list. And to throw this way, here I would like to clarify a new point that heritage branding in generally, without control, may be to transform the heritage site to be a consumed consumpted product for visitors. So by the way, the heritage value itself will be modified step by step. So we will, in the future, we will not find any heritage value to be transformed for the future generation. So I would like here to deal that heritage branding. I would like to clarify this point because not to go through this way. That heritage branding consider a visitor not a consumer. That visitor who come from his location in touristic process to feed edutainmentally his or her memory with this intensive heritage knowledge. So we can understand that the heritage branding enhances mainly the heritage site as an independent economic entity, aiming at funding its world projects in the future. Finally, to consume all of these indicators, the differentiations between brand heritage-based branding and heritage-based branding, all of these together, so we can, if we make an attachment between our communication or connection between who already clarified about cultural identity indicators and the manifestation of cultural diversity and the heritivity factor, we can see here some examples to not application for heritage branding because it's a new process, not old one. But as a result of city branding, that we can see here indication that a common name on the social media and also some websites related to tourism. You can see Paris is a romantic city, Berlin, city of architecture, Salvador, the Baha'i capital of happiness, and Thailand to be considered a cold land of smiles. But here, after research, we can find here some clarification for this point, that the people or visitors' memory saves the heritage memory, the nostalgia, our experience according to the actions they do in the heritage site. What they do, what they eat, what they smell, the actions, the activities. By the way, we can see through this factor how many pillars between or communication between visitor management and interpretation and heritage marketing, because the branding is a part of heritage marketing. It's not a separate process. So here we can see the interactive relationship between cultural identity and heritage branding. That the cultural identity is the core values of heritage branding as a uniqueness attribute, creating the long-term image. And then we can find an opposite way, on the other hand, is that heritage branding enhancing the aspect of the sense of a place as experiential and symbolic benefits, not only for the visitors, but also for all of the stakeholders we already aforementioned in the previous slides. And then we can find also the interaction between cultural identity and the heritage branding through the narration and embodying the narration, this narration, that cultural identity is just stories, just how to keep these stories in, or the heritage value, storytelling of this heritage value in the minds and memory of the visitors. It's a function of heritage branding. And then we can find that heritage site image might be over time. The visitors will be aware of this heritage image through the initial edutainment experiences. So we should clarify here that not only this edutainment experiences, not only through the heritage site itself, but through your communication, newsletters, public relations, and technology, websites, social media, how to make a permanent communication with your visitors. That's this initial edutainment experience is a result of that. By the way, you will preserve the high reality level of the heritage visitors, and the site image will be spontaneously upgrade the promoting sense of belonging. So if we recognize the point that visitor, yes, probably to be international visitors, but in major case, it will be back with a positive impacts on your local community to be so loyal for your heritage site, for their cultural identity. According to that, as a mental representation of heritage site, the image will create experiences through 2 points: the collective or delivered memory that is already coming through distribution channel. Previously, the distribution channel was through some companies, through agencies, and so on. But now there's a great opportunities for there are great opportunities for the heritage site to communicate directly with their visitors through social media, websites, technology, apps, and everything. We have many channels to offer our services. As we saw during coronavirus pandemic, we already saw there are some, or many, not some, many heritage sites and museums around the world already offered great tours for the heritage site. But the problem, what a message, how to make a consistent message for the visitor. So after to finish this tour, I will be a permanent follower for the heritage site, for its news. I will be have enthusiasm for the news of the heritage site, what the services, new membership, and so on. So according to all of these services and activities, I will informally can apply the concept of non-profit organization of the heritage site that can cover its fund by itself. It will not need in the future a great to make a great proposal to fund itself. I wouldn't like to transform the heritage site to be a company, no, but just to cover itself, because nowadays we face a great challenge, economic challenge for the heritage sites and museums. And if you follow up the branded museums, the branded heritage sites that it's so common. After this pandemic has already opened, one of these, I heard about it through some webinars, that Vatican museums. Before pandemic, the Vatican museums welcome 5,000 visitors per day. Now, after pandemic, the first day after this long lockdown, they already received 600 visitors in one day. So it's a great opportunity. On the other hand, you will hear to see that if we focus on the outstanding universal values of the heritage site, it will have a great impact on the second P of the marketing mix, that the pricing policy. As we saw here in the photos, that's products is in Egyptian context, because I'm Egyptian, so I know these products. But historically, if we look for these products, it's already come back for authentic value. They're from Siwa and also from ancient Egyptian civilization. While if we focus the consumer who are walking the streets, when they eating these products, when they buying these products for their children, they don't know this come back for cuisine, come back to Siwa heritage, or to come back to ancient Egyptian civilization. So if we created this partnership, that's a public-private partnership with the private companies, it will be win-win relationship. We will have a great business model. It will have variety of funding sources, as well as it will be a new distribution channels for the heritage sites. So our heritage sites which will use this strategy will have a great competitive uniqueness factor. Finally, that heritage branding and cultural identity is a main strategic tools to survive and revive the whole forms of the cultural heritage destinations. And finally, to guarantee a good percentage mitigating immigration, if we create a great relationship between our real life and our cultural heritage and cultural identity manifestations, that will give us opportunity to create a new kind of projects, that to give a new or provide a high number of job opportunities for the local communities in situ, so they will not leave their urban cities, or also for who living in the rural areas. Finally, thank you for your attendance, for your listening, and now if you have any question, I can hear you.
Thank you, Bedri, for this insightful presentation. We have a few questions, and I will be listing them now to you, if you would like. So basically here, the first question we have is about, it talks about regarding the Swiss experience, which city managed to achieve heritage branding and which achieved branding heritage, comparing Basel city and Geneva, for example. So this is the first question we have.
Actually, for Basel city and Geneva, it's a whole process. It has, here you can speak about not heritage branding, you speak about city branding, because if you see for Basel and Geneva, they have another components, not only focus on museums, not focus only heritage sites, but they have entertainment factors, they have economic entities they focus on, and another stakeholders, they join this process. So here it's a great process of investments. It's a business, not only the heritage site. The process I speak about in the heritage branding, so I like to clarify between city branding, heritage-based branding, and heritage branding. It's three separate concepts or three separate perspectives.
Mm-hmm. So the second question, I hope that it will answer. Still, you can still post your question, by the way, during the debate. And due to time limitation, we can answer them as well on our Facebook event page. So the second question is about regarding, is it possible to give a whole view or an example of heritage branding? We saw it already. This will we'll just join it with another question. They are the same topic. How many heritage branding can a city have? So first of all, an example of heritage branding, and the second question related to it, in the case of city, let's say branding, or also the other case of heritage branding, how many a city can have? So I know that this is kind of a big question for...
It's according to that. Here, I would like to repeat again the point of conservation, that heritage branding focus on take into consideration the conservation statement of the heritage site. So I wouldn't like you to make connection or make attachment between city branding and heritage branding, because heritage branding focus only on the heritage site, not consider the surrounding, not focus on the other entertainment that use a consumption perspective. But here we focus that the heritage branding, we take into consideration the point of conservation statement. So I already, or in one of my slides, I already clarified that according to the conservation statement, we should recognize which state is equivalent to our heritage site. For examples, yes, the examples until now without process, it's already, we can call it time-generated strategy. Like, for example, Colosseum. Colosseum now is a branded. Why? The people around the world visited many years ago. And no one come to Rome without to visit Colosseum, without to visit the downtown in this Roman Imperium. So it's branded by time, not have a branding process. Okay, as a part of tourism attraction, as a part of itinerary for companies, and also the effect of word of mouth. That, for example, you visit some of these heritage attractions and you enjoy too much, so you will recommend these heritage attractions for your relatives, your friends, your colleagues in the work. So according to this recommendation, you will come and visit, and step by step. So we can call it the significance of word of mouth, a recommendation, in other words, and also the time-generated strategy. But now, after this coronavirus, after the strategy of tourism will be changed, as we already clarified, fewer visitors, high revenues. So now we need to go in depth in this competition and to attract a good number for our heritage sites according to our values. As we already mentioned, to analyze the heritage, the OUV, the universal values of our heritage sites. According to that, you can create your out-of-the-box economic approach to attract the good number who can buy your service, who can consume your service without high impacts or high negative impacts on your heritage components or heritage attributes.
Yes, thank you, Mohammed. Another question is, I understand that also to clarify that the heritage branding, it's a new concept. So it's not really applied already. So when we talk about example of heritage branding, it's not yet reach. So, but it's a process. It's a new field where basically we need more integrated approach. So we are talking about also, we are in a context of urban context and also rural urban context with cities that are today, facing a lot of challenges. We are dealing about, the architectural heritage and the cultural heritage, social and economic one. And basically it's a new kind of strategic tool to be able, to have more holistic and also inclusive cities. This is we have an interesting question here. It's about, it's Simita Babar from she's an urban conservationist from India. So she's asking, could you please elaborate on how communities associated with heritage can be involved in heritage branding process?
Through entrepreneurship, that's a solution. The community will not feel they are related for this heritage without reason, without to integrate or engagement the whole process, as Curating Charter mentioned. But now, till nowadays, we don't have a great indicators that the community already engaged the process of conserving and managing the heritage site. They will effectively, without negative impacts, to help them to create entrepreneurship process through our OUV. That's analyzing the OUV in marketing way. You can create a group of out-of-the-box startups, maybe to create a local restaurants that to present the local food, but not only to present it as a product, but how to offer it as to get the visitor to come back in nostalgic context. You can take to make an offer that not only to eat a local food, but to prepare the food. So according to this action, this activity, he will not forget your site, never ever.
Exactly. So here we have a last, I think, comment and question from Candice. She's asking, she's saying that it's very innovative topic for heritage study with concept from promotional concept in the study of business. She said, I have some further questions. Is this new approach for heritage authorities as their heritage strategies? But how does the community's power present in the strategy? So it's linked to the previous question. How will the different communities involve with the branding heritage? Bear with me, I think heritage is different with a commercial product, as it's always manipulated by authorities rather than satisfying their audiences as a very consumer-based perspectives. So will you say this approach especially as tool of facilitating visitors' experience in, let's say, HS management rather than something else? Many thanks again. So thank you, Candice, for this comment.
You are welcome. But I will complete with her. If we speak through the business model, and I already mentioned according to Hangzhou Declaration, and we speak about the relationship between it and socio-economic context or approach. So from my point of view, we can integrate between the products who already presented for the people in the street, in the supermarket and so on. If we get the logo of companies, the shape of the covers of products from the heritage context, it will come back with financial approach to the heritage site to help it, covering its projects to be survived, to be sustainable, and at the same time will be so attractive and to enhance the memory of the heritage of the consumer will be so attractive. And if you already search on YouTube, you will find many advertisements that already shooted inside the museums, inside the heritage sites, and these advertisements already mentioned the name or the using the cultural context of this heritage site of the museums. Okay, so this interaction, if we valorize creating out of the box through this context, I think in the upcoming years, the heritage sites, the museums will not face any economic issue in the future because they will already guarantee a good number of visitors by this interaction between the public sector without mitigating, without overuse, And also the museums and the heritage site will guarantee a good financial resource, variety of financial resource. At the same time, these companies or products will guarantee a great attraction for the consumers through this cultural context.
Yes, here it's basically, we answer also a little bit of the question, the last one, about the defensive tool aspect of heritage branding. Because what you just said now, it's also, I think, Mohammed, if you can elaborate more about that aspect, that you talked about it already at the beginning of your lecture.
May you clarify more what you mean exactly?
So in the beginning
the
of
expression of defensive tool as
yes.
defensive tool?
Yes.
That if we speak about defensive tool, that as I said at the end, I mentioned Vatican as example. It's already kept in the mind of visitors without branding, but as I said, it's time generated. But if we already prepare from now to create the branding inside the minds of visitors, you will guarantee them that if you look down for this issue, for example, for this pandemic, after to open your museum, your heritage site for visits, you can save your place in their experience, in their mind. So you can through this communication, this new styles of communication, as I said, social media, websites, application, and so on, so on, so newsletters, according to your target groups. So you can preserve this mind, your space in their mind, as well as you can, what can I say, this defensive tool that they will prefer you more than to go another attraction. They will feel you are safe for you, safer for him, more than to go to entertainment spaces, to touristic attraction. No, he will prefer to go to you. So that's the defensive tool.
Exactly. Thank you, Mohammed. We have just quickly, because I think we are running out of time, 2 questions. You decide if you will answer them both because they are very big questions. So one, it's about, is every city with huge heritage capacities is capable or able to access branding? Second question, it's as a conclusion, it was written, what is the difference then between heritage branding and branding heritage? So we have to. You can pose 2 questions.
I will not repeat the second part of the question because I already clarified too much. You can review the lecture again. It will be on Facebook and we will upload it on YouTube.
We can.
But for the first part, yes, every city around the world can be branded. But here I'm not speaking about branding because of cities, because it's political and economic issue, and you can say it's related to foreign affairs between states and each other, and its image, and so you can consider that. But for heritage branding, we focus only on the heritage site, your main heritage site. So you can analyze the values to make a process. We will, in the future, after to finish the proposed process, we can do another lecture about the process of heritage branding. I didn't finish till now. But that's how I speak about how to brand your heritage site, not a city.
Yes.
Because to brand a city is a great issue. You need many specialists, not me only. Not who focus on the cultural heritage studies, but many perspectives that it's joined, as I already clarified, tourism, attraction, infrastructure, security, and economy of the state itself. Many things, not only heritage. Heritage is just 10% of this process.
Yes. So there is a question here about Sarah. I think she's asking, is there a name for this concept in Arabic? I know that, and a friend, which has a friend. Feriel, she's saying labellisation, it's in French, so for it. And for Arabic, we have, I think,
العلامة التجارية للتراث.
العلامة التجارية للتراث. So صك التراث أو اسم التراث, it has been answered here. So we have a nice debate on our chat group.
But you will not find any researches in Arabic in this
related to it. So we all totally understand it's a new field. It's
actually, yeah, I would like to clarify for you, Sarah, it's a new field in English. What about Arabic and other languages?
Exactly.
That until now, I find limited articles who speaking about heritage branding itself. Okay, so it's so new field and already generated at the end of 2018. I didn't find any article about this field before 2018 for whoever would like to search in this field.
Exactly, and I think it's important to start also by rooting the terminology itself and to do deep research.
Yeah, terminology is related to city branding and the branding itself, but to generate or make to convert this expression to use in heritage context, we try because it's a hard expression. We don't use this expression literally, but as you saw, for example, for heritage factor and authenticity factor, we consider authenticity in heritage site in different way. We not like the general branding. And also heritage site, you have some or many restrictions, not like the products in the market. The local in the market, it's a consuming. So they have a wide space to do what they want, but you should think out of the box, but within these restrictions of
also
the heritage
it's loaded
site.
with meaning, so we need also to understand the concepts behind it. Each wording like culture, identity, heritage itself, urban and a city, etc. All of these should be already, let's say, understood to be able to elaborate more on this concept. So basically at the end, thank you very much for joining us. And I will be sharing just for you as a reminder, if you allow me, Mohammed, just for the audience, that we have already hold a lecture online about urban resilience, and it will be published, on our YouTube channel. At the same time, we are preparing now a second introduction because we've seen that we have a lot of audience and requests about this lecture. And the next lecture, which will be one of our colleagues, Mohammed, which is Layla Zibar, that she will be presenting next month, Dwelling and Homing in Refugiehood. So the case study, it will be a refugee camp in Kurdistan in Iraq. So this will be our next lecture. And of course, we will be update you soon for others. Thank you, Mohammed, very much. And thank you for all who joined us today. So I will be stopping sharing today and hope to see you soon in the future. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
See you. Bye.